Kenny, given where you guys are at in the calendar, what the roster looks like right now, and just the playoffs approaching, how concerning of a loss do you think one like this is?
I think it reminds kind of. You could look at my post-game comments against Orlando, right? Very, very similar. I think it's a very, very similar game. Just too permissive on the defensive end. And I just told the guys, and it starts with that first unit, right? Just not good enough defensively. They never felt us. They got comfortable. They got confidence. And then, we start to half. It's kind of the same story, right? And we got really good defenders in that lineup. So, kind of a mile away. It was inexcusable defensive effort today. But give them credit. Give Dallas credit. I just thought their energy level was higher. But when your energy level is not there, sometimes you have games where it's not there. Now you have to use your kind of savvy and experience and be in the right positions. You might not have a game where you're super active, and that happens. But there were, way too many mental breakdowns. So you combine those two things, right? The physical, I don't think we're at peak physically for whatever reason. And then you add the mental breakdowns, and that's how you give up 130.
You mentioned the Orlando game earlier this week, and then in between that and this, you hold this Dallas team to 205 points. Why do you think there are those defensive inconsistencies?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something we got to figure out. Especially playing a team twice, right? Listen, I can look at myself too. We started the game switching, 1 through 5, which that's not normally what we do. But I think we wanted to challenge the group. You have to do that in the playoffs, see where we are, and I don't know, but that's not an excuse, right? I'm not, but I also have to look in the mirror. Was it the right coverage to start? Man, that's a lot of factors, right? And that's again, that's kind of why you give up 130.
Kenny, before the game, you talked about under-promise, over-deliver.
Yeah.
Do you think that encapsulates what Max Strus did tonight?
Oh man, Ethan, I'm really glad you brought up the real positive thing. That's pretty amazing performance after 7 months without playing an NBA game. Maybe the best I've seen with that period of absence, and then to come in an NBA game and have that performance. It was great. I loved the crowd. That was really great moment. Him coming in and giving a grade and then hitting the first couple threes. So that's a shining light in a not a great day for us.
Obviously, you mentioned the defensive struggles. They had 35 assists on 46 makes tonight. Just the passing acumen, the drive, kick, swing series that they were able to do. Do you find that to be the area that you guys have to improve on the most?
Ethan, it really comes down to guarding the ball, because you don't want to give up that drive. You don't want to give up. Once you give up the paint touch, then it's now you're scrambling, right? So point of attack, 101 defense. They're just kind of beating us off the dribble. And we've never really adjusted to their speed. They went small, obviously. Their speed got to us, but we never could really control the ball.
Just sticking on defense, you used the word permissive. Can you describe why that was the one you're looking to hear?
I don't know. We tried to get them at half. We showed 4 or 5 clips where they're just not. We're not touching them, right? We're not. In switching defense, you got to control the screener. You got to slow up the screener, right? You got to be into the ball, and it was just kind of like we're playing a man-to-man, but it was like we're in the zone, because we were so detached, and in the NBA, if got teams are that comfortable, it just shots are easier. They don't get worn down physically, right? So they're fresher to make shots. And then I'd just say the last thing where I knew the focus wasn't. I think we had 12 live ball turnovers. Some of that was spacing. Some of that was the lineups. Maybe I threw out there with not enough shooting. So that was a bit part of it also.
Anything else in a row? Last one, Ethan.
Kenny, you just mentioned the turnovers, and obviously with a team that likes to get out in transition, you obviously also have potentially Toronto and Orlando and teams like that. How important is it to minimize those mistakes?
Massive. Live ball turnovers are death. Jeez, I hope that doesn't sound too harsh. But they are. You're like, if you have a live ball turnover above the free throw line, it's probably going to be a layup. You can't stop it. So, but again, I do think some of that was, just not great spacing by us. Some of it was, lack of focus.
Okay, let's go wrap it up.
All right. Thanks, everybody.